right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 73 of Films and Fermentation. That's right, we are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. This is episode 73, Urban Legends.
Say urban legends or bourbon legends?
Take your whatever you prefer.
I think
that would have been that might have been a more entertaining.
Legends.
Urban Legends probably be a more entertaining show. In this episode, we're going to look at movies about urban legends. Urban legends, myths, or tales that are a modern genre of folklore. It often consists of fictional stories associated with the macabre, with superstitions, ghosts, demons, cryptids, extraterrestrials, creepypasta, and other fear-generating narrative elements. Urban legends are often rooted in local history and pop culture, and as such make for sometimes captivating, screenplay fodder. Don't forget to drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit us at linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. Gentlemen, what are we drinking this evening? Let's go with Kevin first, since Drunky the dog seems to be enjoying it a little bit more than he is.
Drunky is going after the one I was going to crack open first. This one I got at a local place on Tuesday. Meant to have you guys try it, but we never got around to it. This is called Don't Microwave It, Don't Boil It. It's from Hoof-Hearted Brewing. Okay? It's a combo. So it's Hoof-Hearted Brewing and Dissolver Brewed Until Surreal, which, okay. Anyway, this is a sour IPA. It has raspberry, lime zest, vanilla, and milk sugar. And it's 6.0%. So I'm actually going to go from top to bottom.
The creepy guy tied to the chair just...
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture. Like
that's
the guy blindfolded, tied to a chair in his underwear.
With cowboy boots on.
Yeah. With a giant...
At least he's going to die with his boots on.
Yeah, with something like a piece of fruit behind him.
Yeah. So
interesting.
I'm looking forward to trying it. Is it backward because it's on the camera?
No, what's to say? Don't microwave it. Don't boil
it.
It's an interesting list of flavor varieties.
Yeah, raspberry, lime, vanilla, and milk. I think I can get into this. It sounds like a very fruity pie of sorts.
Mike, what are you drinking?
Well, I'm starting off with one of the beers I brought home from Williamsburg. It's from the Virginia Beer Company called Freeverse. It's an Indian pale ale. It's 6.8% alcohol by volume, and it is hoppy. My God, it's hoppy.
Mine's a little sour.
I decided to try to do a theme drink tonight, and I actually made my own because I was looking for like color combinations. So I took some cherry 7-Up, which is sort of a reddish pinkish color, some blue curacao because red and blue make purple, and added a little bit of tequila to it for flavor. And it looked like kind of blue on the camera. I think it's because of the light behind me. But when you mix it together, it gets this like kind of dark, almost like dark purple, blackish color to it, right?
Right.
And then I threw 2 maraschino cherries on top to make it look like 2 red eyes, and I called it the Mothman Prophecy cocktail. So I made it myself. I was trying to show you guys the eyes, but there's no way I can like lean the cup over without like pouring it on my computer. I mean, see, here they are. 2 maraschino cherries. It's an interesting flavor.
What are we thinking of our drinks?
It's an interesting flavor. It's probably what I get for trying to create my own drink.
Yeah. Mine is quite the sour.
Mine is quite hoppy and bitter.
So we're all going to have an interesting night tonight. Mike, why don't you take us into our next segment?
This day in film history. This day in film history, in 2019, Disney Studios is the first to have 5 films to earn over $1 billion each in 1 year, with Toy Story 4, Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, Aladdin, and The Lion King.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
First off, I didn't realize Captain Marvel did that well. I mean, I knew it did well. I didn't know it did over $1 billion well. This is probably including overseas market too, and not just
I'm
domestic.
sure.
Yeah, Aladdin and the Lion King. I'm really shocked that
The
they made
live
over $1
action
billion.
version. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the Lion King. I'm not. It was really good.
yeah. Endgame and Toy Story 4 don't surprise me.
No.
But yeah, the last three on that list kind of took me by surprise a little bit. But I think a lot of it is probably the overseas market more than it is domestic, especially with a lot of them like kind of sharing time with Disney Plus. You right there, guys?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking I hadn't seen the live action Lion King, though. I know it played it for my.
It was John Favreau.
Live action.
Yeah, it's not, but it looks live action.
The CGI.
Damn, those lions, they're really hard to work with.
I heard Pumbaa was a real diva. Yeah, I haven't seen Lion King. I haven't seen Aladdin either. I haven't seen any of the quote unquote live action remakes.
I think I saw
think I've
the
seen it.
Jungle Book live action, which was really good.
I haven't seen the Jungle Book. I didn't see Aladdin. I saw Beauty and the Beast. That's the only one I think I saw the live action version.
You didn't see 101 Dalmatians?
No.
Cruella.
Well, I mean, Cruella there was the 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close from the 90s. Yeah, I mean that's whatever. I'm talking about the most recent live action remakes.
Aladdin was decent. Lion King was done really well. I mean, it most because of the photography, how they did it is pretty much that's what they did in Mandalorian now with the CGI and the cameras. That's just where it started, was in Lion King with Favreau,
where you can kind of see the effects as you're filming.
Yeah, and it looks like you could do different angles for the CGI because how the camera is being is used in there.
I think I can say I've seen Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast years ago when they came out. I was with people that wanted to see them, so I had seen them. They were okay.
Was Cinderella the actress that ended up being in House of
Cinderella was Lily James.
Oh, Lily James. I'm sorry. Yeah, the one from Baby Driver.
Right, and it had Helena Bonham Carter as the fairy godmother. Yeah.
Well, I added something to this day in film history because there were a lot of anniversaries for films, and some that were so old that it really shocked me. First one is the 25th anniversary of Event Horizon, which is one of my favorite sci-fi horror films.
Oh yeah,
very underrated sci-fi horror film that has a missing director's cut that will never be found, and I'm really pissed off about that. I would love to see the director's cut of that film. Celebrating its 40th anniversary this week, and it's funny since we talked about it last week, is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It was 40 years ago that people were pausing that scene in the film.
Man, I was 7 pausing
that. 40 years later, people are still pausing that scene in the film. August 21st will be the 80th anniversary of Bambi.
Bambi?
Yeah.
Bambi.
80 years old. I was like, holy shit, man. I didn't realize, like, it's amazing. Like, you don't realize how old some movies are until you find out how old the movies are.
Yeah.
Like The Wizard of Oz, which debuted on August 15th, 1939, 83 years ago. And I'm like, Jesus, man. I think we might actually be alive when some of these movies hit their 100th anniversary.
Ooh. Okay.
What's up, Mike? Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, okay. Don't make me feel old now.
What's your fun drink pack for this evening, Mike?
I got a new hop variety for you boys.
New hop variety.
Yep, it is Hort 4337. It is 10.5 through 11.5% AA. This New Zealand experimental variety has a tropical fruit character of pineapple and passion fruit, as well as peach and grapefruit.
Mm.
I'd try it.
I would try that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. All right. So I didn't do any notes from last show, really, because not that it was a perfect show, but there wasn't really a lot that I wanted to kind of mention again. We did a lot of talking about how porny some of those films sounded in the 50s and 60s. And my wife listened to some of it with me, and she was like, yeah, they do sound kind of porny. So, so she agreed with me. But we did, again, have another death in the Hollywood family this week. Anne Heche, who was in a really, really bad car accident last weekend.
Yeah.
And was already considered, I think, brain dead at the scene. They basically had her on life support because they were harvesting her organs because she was an organ donor.
Yep.
And then they took her off the life support on Monday, and she was 53 years old, so very young. Tragic Hollywood death, and they didn't say much in the news about it, but I know like the house that her car crashed into a house, and there were other people injured as well because there were people home when the accident happened.
Well, I know the police have categorized it as an accident, and most of her injuries are death. Cause of death is because of the car caught on fire and the smoke inhalation.
Yeah, I was wondering like how it crash happened in the first place. I'm wondering if she had like an aneurysm or something while she was driving. Yeah, very tragic. So again, we are harbingers. This is what, like the fourth week in a row that we we had a celebrity death mention. Mike said it's happened so much that we should do an in memoriam show at the end of December. That should be fun.
Well, we just talk about their movies,
All righty. So that's a quick opening tonight. That's probably the quickest opening we've had in a while. Getting right into the main segment already. So our main segment tonight is films about urban legends, urban myths. And as I said before, urban myths are, myths or tales, modern versions of folklore, as the kids call it on the internet nowadays, creepypasta.
So, in other words, you went back and watched Supernatural and got all this list, right?
I did a lot. It's funny because there are a lot.
X-Files.
Like, we don't really talk about TV shows much on here, but we could have talked about the X-Files. We could have talked about Supernatural because a lot of these. I had the Wendigo on here, and that's one of the major bads from Supernatural.
Yeah.
And God knows how many X-Files episodes had something to do with like cryptid kind of creatures and stuff. So yeah, urban legends are stories that they could be dealing with cryptids like Bigfoot and the Yeti. It could be dealing with those scary stories that tell. Yeah, scary stories that tell in the dark, like the Hook Man and the Babysitter Home Alone and all that stuff. Or it could be a creepypasta, which is a legend that has been born solely on the internet, but has gained traction over the years since its debut. Or modern folklore like the Mothman prophecies and the Mothman
Would you
itself.
count Blair Witch as a creepypasta? I mean, that entire movie was, based off of the the popularity of that movie came about because of the website, and the fact that they were claiming that it was true and everything.
I debated putting it on this list with a couple other movies because there is like a whole genre of film, which is the found footage film.
Right.
And the found footage film itself is a form of urban legend. Like you're supposed to believe that it's real, like a snuff film or something like that.
Right.
And I thought about it, but I'm like, you know what? That would be like an episode all itself. Because you can talk about Paranormal Activity, you can talk about Blair Witch, you can talk about any movie where it's supposedly filmed, really happening sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. I debated it because when I was researching this and looking at some of the different things, that comes up there. Yeah, Blair Witch comes up as it did come up as found footage. It was like sort of like under like the category of like the Bloody Mary story or something like that. But I'm like, it didn't make sense to me with that.
From what I understand is the premise of the witch in the woods was an urban legend for some area.
Yeah.
So
like the Jersey Devil and the Pine Barrens.
Right.
Right.
but they use
Remind me,
their
I
urban
have a
legend to
show
make the film.
idea I want to mention to you guys, but I don't want to interrupt this show with another show idea.
No, what is it? Because this way we don't forget
Well,
it.
I'm thinking of viral advertising and the movies that have utilized viral advertising, because I got like 5 that came off the top of my head just thinking about it.
They did it. They did it with the Dark Knight with the Joker.
Yep.
They did it with Blair Witch. Blair Witch was like I think the first one to use viral
Right.
marketing.
Right.
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, there's more than a few that have done it.
Matrix
The Matrix. Yeah, I'm gonna put it down now so we don't forget it. Viral marketing films.
Put it on the list.
Ladies and gentlemen who are listening to us right now, this is how we come up with our show ideas. We drink.
Very organized.
We drink. We have inspiration. It might come in the middle of a show that we're already doing, but that's how it works.
And then we look at it and go, well, this one's dead. And we go, mark it off the list.
Mark it off the list. So this guy's dead. Take him off the list.
Oh, we have already gone off the rails.
So this list was originally like 15 categories, and I'm like, this is way too fucking much. So I eliminated some that had like really didn't have like movies that any of us would have seen or that were like popular in any way. I eliminated a couple that were just kind of like pushing it in terms of actually being like urban legends, and then I combined a couple just to try to shorten the list a little bit. So I ended up with 10. So our 10 urban myths are haunted dolls, the Sasquatch or Yeti, which I put together as one, creepypasta, Bloody Mary legends, cursed objects, Krampus, Men in Black, which I thought there would be a lot of movies out there for Men in Black, but other than the Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones films, there was hardly any to find. Passing grades thanks to a catastrophe. This is a silly one, but I thought it was silly enough to include on the list. Urban legend short stories like The Hook Hand and The Babysitter Home Alone and all that stuff. And some honorable mentions, which are some films that didn't really fall under any category, but I wanted to bring up anyway. So the first one we have on our list here is haunted doll films. So this urban legend has to do with dolls that are supposedly possessed. There's
Don't play with me.
Yeah, there's that couple that are like supernatural investigators, the Warrens. And the Conjuring films are sort of based on their career as paranormal investigators, and they have in their home they have a room full of cursed objects, and probably the most famous of all of them is a creepy little doll called Annabelle. It's supposedly one of the most haunted objects in the world, or something like that. That it moves on its own and all that kind of stuff, and they actually have it locked in a case in their home so that it doesn't harm anyone anymore.
No, thank you. No.
Yeah, I don't like creepy dolls to begin with.
Send it to the Vatican. Let them put it in their little vault, never to be seen again.
Yeah, you look at it. I mean, there's pictures. You can see pictures online of this room in their house where they have all this supposedly haunted shit.
I'm playing.
Yeah, I have no interest in haunted dolls. Growing up in a Italian grandmother's house that was filled with
Haunted dolls,
Harlequin clowns and little like snow baby and all these like different like weird like porcelain dolls
that
all stare at you.
My living room with Adrian's precious moment collection with all their dead eyes, just like
I call them the big-headed babies.
They at least have some modicum of like cuteness to them. Like my grandmother's house was porcelain like Harlequin clowns hanging on strings like all over the place staring at you.
You should have seen the box of dolls that's up in the attic.
Yeah. So Annabelle is a film that came out of the Conjuring films. It's a spin-off and has its own sequels and prequels and pre-sequels and all that kind of shit. I saw The Conjuring. It was okay. It was pretty scary. But I have not really seen any of them since then, including the Annabelle films. It's just not something that really appeals to me because, like I said, I get creeped out enough. There's a movie called The Boy, stars Lauren Cohen, who's from Walking Dead. And in this film, she's tasked with babysitting a boy that turns out to be a doll. And creepy shit starts happening all around the house. The doll moves and things are like people are getting hurt, and it all points to this doll. And then the twist of it is at the end you find out that the boy is still alive, that the family was, hiring her for. He lives in the walls of the house. And he comes out at night and like does shit, and they blame it on the doll.
So I
Okay.
heard this was based off of Robert the Doll down in Key West, Florida, who was responsible for a whole mess of issues in the early 1900s. He was the gift to a young kid named Eugene Robert Otto, and he was a handmade doll, And the boy, like the doll would show up in windows, the doll they'd hear whispering between the boy and somebody, and he would say it was the doll. It was actually even responsible for a fire in the house. So,
Fucking dolls.
Yep.
My mom had this.
Don't you get any ideas?
Yeah, Drunky the dog. Be good back there.
Drunky the dog.
My mom
puked on the floor.
When I was growing up, my mom had this doll that she had in the house. It was just like a decorative doll, but it was the creepiest little thing. It was a little girl. She faced the corner and she had her hands up above her face like this, and she just stood in the corner. And it was like this decorative little doll that she had. And my sisters and I thought it was the creepiest thing.
That sounds creepy.
Especially because when you turned it around, it had no face. It was just a blank slate with the hands covering it. And my mom had it in the house for the longest time.
Are you sure that wasn't an angel?
No, I'm sure it was Chucky's long lost sister. Which brings us to the last haunted doll story, Child's Play.
And now a television series.
And now a television series, as in like MTV or some shit like that. Yeah, I love the original Child's Play. That's a 80s slasher cheese fest classic. With Brad Dourif as the doll. Which led to a whole like slew of like 80s slasher films with things getting possessed by people. But then Child's Play, of course, itself went off the rails because then you had Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, Bride of Chucky, Chucky Seed. They had the revamped, rebooted Child's Play movie that came out, I think it was 2 years ago, with Mark Hamill was the voice of Chucky. And then now there's a series on, I think it's on MTV.
Let me take a look.
So yeah, so that's some haunted doll films. The next one we have here is Bigfoot and Yeti. The thing I was shocked about with this is, I really thought with some of these real popular ones there would be more well-known movies. Now on the Bigfoot list, there were about 50 films, and most of them were like B-movie drive-in films from like the 50s and 60s that like just looked terrible. Like just the posters alone looked like hardship to get through. So I came up with the ones that I could think of. The only really popular one that pops in my head is Harry and the Hendersons,
which is a classic. It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie. John Lithgow. The guy in the Bigfoot costume is the same guy that was in the Predator costume.
Just for clarification, it premiered on the Sci-Fi and USA Network simultaneously. I think it plays on the USA Network.
What's that, Chucky?
Chucky.
Okay. But yeah, Harry and the Hendersons. I haven't watched that in a really long time. I can't remember the last time I watched that. I think it's on like Prime right now.
Oh yeah.
I might have to like check it out. Yeah. The second one I have on this list for Bigfoot movies. All right, I watch really bad movies, and I watch a lot of movies that probably don't deserve the attention I give them. This was one of them. This movie, I watched it because it starred Sam Elliott, and I love Sam Elliott. And I've said before, Sam Elliott's mustache can outact most people in Hollywood nowadays. This one is called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot.
It was really a good day for him. Bigfoot
Yeah.
wasn't
I
even
have
on
no
his
words.
list. It just kind of happened.
Here's the thing: like, you really don't have to watch the film because they basically tell you the plot in the title.
Yeah,
He
I
killed
have no
Hitler,
words.
and they killed Bigfoot. So it's supposed to be like when he was a young soldier in World War II, he assassinates Hitler, but they make it look like a suicide. So like they cover it up or whatever. But he's actually the person who got the Hitler. And then cut to 50 years later, he's living in this small town on like the Canadian border, and the government comes to him and tasks him with hunting down the Bigfoot because it has been terrorizing people and spreading disease.
You see, that's not the same one that I had seen. One that I had seen, they sent Bigfoot to kill Hitler.
Yeah,
And Sam Elliott's character shows up, and
and
Bigfoot
kills
wasn't
both of
supposed
them.
to let anyone see that it was him because he's mythical. So Bigfoot goes after Sam Elliott. He ends up killing Bigfoot, who was strangling Hitler at the time. So the bullet went through him and into Hitler's head.
Yes, back and to the left.
Yes, back and to the left.
That sounds like a better movie than the one I watched. It was like two different films thrown together.
It sounds like it came from the creators of Fat Man.
Yeah. Like, do you want him to kill Hitler or do you want him to kill Bigfoot? Make up your mind. And then I threw on there's a lot of animated films that cover this story too. So you got Abominable and Smallfoot, which are both about the Yeti, two animated films that came out not too long ago. Missing Link, which is from the same people who do like the Wallace and Gromit films.
You missed
Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. Because
Yes,
the
and
Yeti's in that. Snow cone?
I swear it's lemon.
I know what you're thinking, but it's lemon.
It's lemon. I mean, I haven't seen all of these animated ones. I did see Missing Link, which was pretty funny. It's Zach Galifianakis playing the Missing Link.
You guys know there was a Harry and the Hendersons TV series that actually lasted 3 seasons.
Yes, yeah.
Jesus.
There were a lot of shows in the 80s that were based on like popular. So there was like a Ferris Bueller TV series. There was a Bill and Ted TV series.
So it's the opposite of the day. Now they're taking 80s television shows and making movies.
Back then, the trend was you try to make a TV series, and if that didn't work, you made a cartoon series, even if the cartoon was based on something that really wasn't kid friendly.
Like RoboCop.
Yeah, there was a RoboCop cartoon, there was
Police
a Rambo
Academy.
cartoon, there was a Police Academy cartoon.
Rambo.
The Rambo. Well, I used to watch Rambo all the time. All right, creepypastas. Let me tell you something. If you want to fall down a YouTube rabbit hole, just type creepypasta into YouTube, and welcome to a world you never knew existed, and probably will wish you never knew existed afterward. There are so many fucking weird, creepy things that came out of this thing. So it's like the word creepypasta itself comes from like the word creepy, obviously, and then it's like horror pasta or something like that, which is supposed to be like just like, you know, like these stories that people create online and things like that, and then they put them together. So they're legends that were
Italians.
Yes, creepypastas, creepypasta, motherfucker.
I thought it was related to spaghetti westerns.
Yes, yes, they're filmed exclusively in Italy.
These are spaghetti westerns, and here's our penny pornography.
Creepypasta.
Yes, next on my watch list is that Italian film we saw last week, the high school girl that seduced her teachers.
And then we got the raving raviolis. Oh
yes. So these are creepypastas are legends that originated solely as internet stories. The most popular one is the Slender Man. Slender Man started as a series of photographs online that somebody just, you know, doctored, photoshopped, whatever. But I mean, they were really well done, very creepy. And then, you know, all these legends started building from that to the point that we have 2 movies based on Slender Man. One is a fictional slasher, you know, jump scare horror flick. The other one is a documentary. And I actually think the documentary is scarier than the horror flick.
wow.
So the horror flick is like your typical, you know, jump on the train, of what's popular, sort of thing. You know, this is popular. Let's make a movie out of it.
Yeah.
We don't really have to spend much time on the plot. People will come see it anyway, kind of shit. Whereas the second thing on the list here, Beware the Slender Man, is a documentary about these two girls. They were like 12 or 13 years old or something like that. And they lured another girl from their class out into like the woods and they stabbed her to death. Like multiple stab wounds, like crazy fucking, thing. And then when they were arrested later, they showed no remorse for their actions, stating that it was the Slender Man who told them to do it. And it was so friggin' sick, like sick and creepy. And just the kind of, it shows you like the kind of influence a lot of internet shit can have.
On that, this category reminds me of course, a episode of Supernatural where the what was it, the Ghost Chaser guys?
Yeah,
kept chasing the story.
They were called Ghostbusters.
No, they were called
Low
Ghost
respect,
Chasers.
low respect.
No, these were Ghost Chasers. No, not them, not them.
No.
These guys
not the real Ghostbusters. This is a fake group on the Supernatural show who called themselves the Ghost Chasers. They were actually supposed to be like the Ghost Hunters, who are the Sci-Fi Channel reality show.
Yeah.
I thought those were the guys that took things and proved them wrong using science.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what they did.
That's
Proved it wrong using science. Yes, exactly.
He blinded me with science.
But yeah,
it's Mythbusters.
Mythbusters. That's the actual debunking it with science. Ghost Hunters said that they were debunking ghosts with science. The next one I have on the creepypasta list is The Rake. This one is really fucked up too. It's a legend of like this humanoid looking creature that comes into your house at night and sits on the edge of the bed and stares at you until you wake up and then it attacks you. I mean, it's a creepy thing to think about.
Switch and save $665.
Mike's going down the YouTube hole already.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then The Rake was turned into another like let's jump on the train horror film and try to make some money off of this popular thing that's there right now. But if you look up like a picture of the Rake itself, is the Rake itself is creepy enough. Let's see if I can find a picture and I'll bring it up for you guys. And why is it not working? Here it is. Come on. Yeah, I'm not getting it right now.
I think I got it.
R-A-K-E.
R-A-K-E, The Rake. You might want to put in like The Rake creepypasta or something like that. The Rake. If you do like The Rake, you might just get like a rake at like Home Depot.
How do I share my screen on this?
So down the bottom there, it says share.
Yeah.
And you click on that button. And then you're just going to do a tire screen. So let's see here. Yeah, that's The Rake right there.
Because I'm in the little screen online.
Yeah, that's The Rake. Creepy thing. And it was one of those things that kind of gained popularity, and so like people tried to monopolize on it, of course. The last one we have on here, Kevin added. There's no movie for this creepypasta, and I feel like it would probably make a really good movie if they wanted to make one, or at least
that's what I was clicking on when all the commercials came on.
At least a monetized movie if they wanted to. This is Siren Head. Siren Head is a very recent creepypasta, and it's basically like this gigantic skeletal like humanoid figure, but instead of a head it has two sirens, and the sirens are either playing like siren sounds over and over again, or like just random like words and numbers and stuff, but in a very creepy voice. And it's a cool character. It was I watched the interview on it's the thing you linked, Kev. They talked to the guy that created
it. It's on Monster.
And he's he's done pretty well with it because it's been featured in a lot of video games recently. There's like a online game now, like a first person shooter game where like you run into a field and all of a sudden the siren head's there.
Jesus.
Siren Head is very creepy.
We did miss one, which just popped up as I was looking up the other ones. The Momo challenge.
Oh my God, Momo.
That is freaky.
Is that a movie?
Momo wasn't. Yeah, there's no movie for it, thank God. But it was the Momo thing actually itself was an art installation. It was like a sculpture that some woman did,
Oh,
and
really?
somebody took it and photoshopped it into this like creepy image that they were using to scare children, and became the Momo challenge, which is creepy itself.
Yeah.
Momo.
It's creepy.
I tried to put a Momo challenge and it came up as Momo chicken for some reason. The Momo chicken. Oh, there she is. I'm gonna bring her up on the screen for Mike. Mike, I don't know if Mike's seen her before.
Don't know anything about Momo.
Let's bring up the Momo. Here we go. Yeah, this is diving into an area I didn't expect it to go.
Yeah, my bad. If anyone's going to derail us, it's going to be me.
That's okay. Not letting me share my screen for some reason.
I can tell that. I'm not
Yeah.
seeing no Momos. Let me see if I can bring it up. I can see it that way.
Just type in
Momo.
Momo challenge.
Momo.
And get ready to be freaked out. I'm just waiting for a reaction on Mike's face. Let's see.
I come out with any images. Oh, hey!
There we go. There we go.
I haven't seen that in a dark room.
It's like a demented
Chicken lady.
no who?
The demented what?
A demented
Who
who
from
from Whoville.
Yeah, who?
Yeah.
That's what happens when a who gets rabies.
Mm.
All right, so we're moving away from the creepy pastas now to Bloody Mary legends. I had a hard time finding movies for this. The Urban Legend trilogy, I feel like probably should have been mentioned anyway because the whole movie is based on urban legends.
Yes. I have a question though.
Yeah, go over. Yeah.
Since the Bloody Mary legend is saying Bloody Mary 3 times in a mirror,
Mm-hmm.
what Beetlejuice go into that? Did you guys say Beetlejuice 3 times?
That is an interesting question
Yeah.
that we should put to a vote.
I mean, you don't
it
have
makes
to be in
sense.
front of a mirror.
No, but you still have to say the name 3 times.
You have to say the name 3 times. I would say. Yeah, it also got rid of him too. Yeah, but does it do it for the other ones? Like Candyman, if you say Candyman 3 times, does he like disappear?
I don't remember much about Candyman except he was a big black guy.
But it has something to do with bees coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what urban legends were in the urban legend movies, but that took me into like a Google like circle right now, like keeps going back to the movie itself, like urban legend movie, urban legends. And it's like it's going around and around and around. So here we go. Wikipedia. Let's see. What is in the urban legends depicted in the film? That's what I'm looking for. There is the killer in the back seat of the car.
Yeah.
Which is one of those old-time stories. University cover-up of a campus murder, which we have as a separate category on this list. They use the Bloody Mary invocation in one scene. Oh, there's the Pop Rocks and Soda.
Oh.
It's supposed to be like if you drink the Pop Rocks and Soda, it makes your stomach explode.
Right.
Oh, okay.
They find somebody hanging from a tree. A woman in the film finds her roommate strangled to death in bed with a note that says, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" The ankle slasher.
The one that hides underneath the cars.
Hides underneath the car and slashes at your ankles. Then there's the somebody wakes up in the tub with their kidney removed.
Oh yeah.
And then there's other things referenced as well. Somebody's birth control pills replaced with baby aspirin.
Harry Palms.
The babysitter and the man upstairs. Somebody finding spider eggs in their candy. So yeah, all the disgusting things you can think of were all featured in the urban legend films.
So, but not the hairy hands.
Not the hairy palms, no. They did have a segment about penis captivus.
Oh, okay.
Where you're having sex and the penis gets stuck and you can't get it out. Or as most men would call that, heaven. There is a movie from the 70s, an exploitation film called Mary Bloody Mary, Mary Bloody Mary, which is based on the Bloody Mary legend. And then, as I mentioned before, you have Candyman, which came out in the 90s and then was rebooted recently by Jordan Peele.
Mm-hmm.
And that film deals with a serial killer who's killed, but his spirit remains. And if you say the words Candyman, I think it's like 3 or 5 times or something in the mirror, the Candyman appears. He has a hook for a hand. He has something to do with like killer bees or something too, and you know.
So he's taking on 2 urban legends.
Mm-hmm. Kind of, yeah. There's a hook hand and the Bloody Mary. Then we got cursed objects. These are objects that bring about doom, gloom, and sometimes death. For example, in The Ring, the Ring horror film.
Lord of the Ring.
It's the video cassette that you watch, and if you watch it, then 7 days later you die.
Yeah.
There was another one too with like a phone call. I don't know if that was the same movie or not, where like you get a phone call and like 7 days later you die or something like that.
It's a collect phone call, and if you accept the charge, then you die. If you don't accept the charges, and to those of you who are too young to remember collect phone calls, you don't need to be listening.
Because then we're in a whole new show where we have to talk about payphones and cords that didn't reach into the other room.
And that
we had a baby. It's a boy.
Through space and time.
Three-way calling, and then you had
party lines.
Your hamburger phone. I had one of those phones. I had the phone that was clear and you could see all the insides. Like
so did I.
Okay. So reel back in, boys. Reel
so get it back in. So The Ring, The Ring. I thought of another one, and like as we were getting off on our tangent, I forgot what it was. Cursed Object film. The Babadook, is that a Cursed Object film?
Yeah, there's a Babadook film, but it's not an urban legend.
No, but I said it's a cursed object film. Like I don't know if that's something to do with a cursed object, because I know there's
a book.
You read the book and then the creature appears.
Yeah.
One of the few horror films out there that's truly scary, but nobody dies in it. The Babadook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there are no deaths in that film.
Yeah.
But it's actually still a pretty scary film. I thought it a film. There's a cursed object film about a cursed mirror. It's called Oculus, and it stars our girl, Karen Gillan. Nebula.
You also forgot another one for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Hellraiser.
Oh yes, the lament configuration.
Yeah.
I love Hellraiser. It's my favorite horror film. Drag Me to Hell. I just watched recently. That's a Sam Raimi film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about this girl who she works at a bank and she forecloses on this old woman's house, and the old woman curses her, and she basically curses like a button on her jacket, and then as long as she has this button in her possession, really bad things happen to her, including getting dragged to hell.
Well,
it's a good film.
That has Alison Lohman in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good movie. Alison Lohman, Justin Long's in it.
Yeah.
And then you have the classic Stephen King cursed object, Christine, the cursed car. Another thing they did in Supernatural, Mike.
Yes.
That was the
Oh,
first
and
season. They had the haunted truck.
Dinner.
Thinner. Thinner's a good. I love Thinner too.
well, they had the rabbit's foot in the one
Mhm.
episode. It was a cursed object. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the cursed car, Christine. The Thinner one was a funny one too, Kev. That's the gypsy curses him because he hits her with the car or whatever.
Yeah.
I curse you, Tina. I had a buddy of mine used to in the one scene he calls him the white man from town. And I had a buddy of mine that used to use that all the time. Whatever you say, white man from town. Next one is we're getting a little Christmas on your ass here with Krampus.
Krampus.
Krampus
That
is
movie, as I thought it was really going to be a comedy based on the cast. You know,
Mhm.
you had Adam Scott, you had David Koshner, and it was not a comedy. I mean, there were funny elements to it, but it was more horrific than anything else.
I would say it's sort of a dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it did have some comedic moments, some silly moments, but yeah, especially the ending.
Yeah.
The ending is so bleak in that film. Spoiler alert, people. Krampus ends with the family finding out they're trapped inside a snow globe.
Okay. I just found a website that gave me the top 10 Krampus movies. Starting at 10, Krampus, The Devil Returns.
I was going to say, I'll let you know if I've seen any of them.
Krampus, The Christmas Devil.
No.
Krampus Unleashed. Krampus, The Reckoning.
Just the word Krampus alone, it just sounds like a really grumpy old guy. Stop being such a Krampus.
Krampus Origins.
Yeah, he was Santa Claus's brother or something.
Mother Krampus 2, Sleigh Ride.
Mother Krampus?
Mother Krampus
Other Krampus.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Krampus. A Christmas Horror Story.
I have that on my list.
Krampus.
Mm-hmm.
And Rare Exports.
Really? Krampus isn't number one?
No, Rare Exports.
I never heard of Rare Exports.
Came out in 2010.
Krampus is the penultimate film for me as far as like Krampus stories go. Christmas Horror Story is fun too because it involves Krampus fighting Santa Claus. And Santa Claus is kind of on the butch side, sort of like the Mel Gibson Fat Man Santa Claus.
Good Lord.
That should be the sequel to Fat Man 2, Krampus. Men in Black is the next urban legend I have on here, and I was like really shocked how hard it was to find Men in Black films. Other than the 3 with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, and the Men in Black International with Chris Hemsworth and the actress who plays Valkyrie, I can't think of her name. Tessa Thompson. Like other than that, I couldn't find like really anything. There's a movie called Brother from Another Planet, which was like a blaxploitation film that has a brief scene involving Men in Black. But I thought there would be like I mean, like if you're talking TV shows like X-Files, obviously, things like that. But I had a hard time finding movies about Men in Black.
Well, this one here we got what's this say? This is popular movies and TV shows with the tag keyword Men in Black.
And I searched that, and I kept getting the Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith films.
Yeah.
I watched the 3rd one again recently.
Not bad.
It's okay. It's a bad rap, but I think it's pretty entertaining.
American Gods is on that list. Matrix is on American Gods.
The Matrix?
The Matrix is on that list for Men in Black.
I guess. I mean, they're not the
Agent Smith. All the agents.
The agents.
Flight of the Navigator is on that list.
Flight of the Navigator? I haven't watched it in so long. I don't remember.
I don't think that's got.
Yeah.
I'm skipping the TV shows.
I mean,
that's like putting E.T. on that list because it had guys with the walkie-talkies. You know, when they were coming up and the kids were getting nervous on the bike, and the guy armed his walkie-talkie, and then he
armed his walkie-talkie. I actually thought about putting E.T. on there, but they're not actually ever referred to or really shown to be like the Men in Black.
Not
The
with
Men
their
in Black,
walkie-talkies.
I always understood the Men in Black as being like those people that show up and then they go away and you just never see them again. They just kind of like
Mhm.
disappear.
There was a 1997 movie called The Shadow Men.
I mean, that would probably
It's about aliens
make
and human
sense.
mutants. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's a weird one. Passing grades thanks to a catastrophe. So there's the urban legend that says like if your roommate or your dorm mate or somebody like that dies, or if something like catastrophic happens, you automatically pass your classes for the semester.
Right.
So that led to two films. One is a horror film and one's a comedy, but they both deal with the same exact topic. First one's called The Curve, and the second one's called Dead Man on Campus. And in The Curve, they kill their roommate and try to make it look like a suicide, so as to get a passing grade in their classes. Whereas Dead Man on Campus, the two friends try to drive the guy to commit suicide by torturing him. But it's supposed to be a comedy.
Fucking Zach Morris. You
Yeah,
knew it was
it's
going to be there.
Mark
Zach
Gosler's
Morris.
in that film. Yeah.
Morris is
I
horrible.
remember that movie coming out, Dead Man on Campus, and
Yeah.
and like that's all I remember about it, is that it came out.
Came out. Yeah.
But that's like a weird one. That's like a urban legend one you don't hear very much, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is, I had a little more fun with this one because this is urban legend short stories. So these are all like those stories you hear when you're a kid, like Goosebumps and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books and all that. And so the first movie was an easy one, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I just watched this one recently for the first time. And for something that was kind of marketed as like a young adult film,
Mhm.
it was fucking scary.
Yeah.
That was a scary ass movie. Like, not scary in like a Freddy Krueger kind of way, but like scary in like a really creepy special effects and visuals kind of way. I think it was
Mhm.
produced. It might have been. I know it wasn't directed, but I think it was produced by Guillermo del Toro, which would make sense when you see the practical effects that they use for the different creepy ghosts and stuff.
That's kind of an urban legend too.
What's that?
The Freddy Krueger thing. If you die, you sleep. You die for real.
Yeah. And I used to have a lot of students who would ask me that, like, if you die in your sleep, do you die in real life? And I'd be like, how would you know? You're sleeping.
Yeah, you die. If you
You
die in
can't,
your
you can't
dreams,
necessarily come back and tell me, can you?
you die in your
You ever
dreams.
believe
You
it,
die
Mr.
in
C?
real
I
life.
died in my sleep last night.
I died in my dream.
It's like the same thing, like if you fall and then you hit the ground in your dream.
Yeah. You wake up with a broken leg.
But the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark deals with the they do the babysitter Home Alone thing with like a person calling from inside the house. They do the toe, which is a really disgusting one. And they find like the dead person's toe in the soup,
Oh,
and the zombie comes back asking for its toe. They do this one with this creepy like fat lady in the hospital, and I don't remember what the story was, but I just remember the visual being really, really creepy.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining, and I think they're working on a sequel, which would be nice because the first one really ended with a cliffhanger.
Mhm.
They all these people disappear and they don't actually save them in the first film, so it's like you need a second film to find out what happens. I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is also based on the Killer with the Hook Hand. Kind of loosely
I
based,
still
I
know
would
what
say.
you did last summer. Oh,
Yeah, no, there was I Know What You Did Last Summer. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. There was another one. There was
what
a
did you do
reboot.
last summer?
I think there was a I think there was a
I think there's a
reboot.
reboot too. Yeah.
But there was like when I was looking up this shit, like a whole bunch of them came up, and it was just so funny. Like I have to hold on. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Sequels. Let's see. So it's I Know What You Did Last Summer. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
Last summer.
I'll always know what you did. Really? Like,
What are you doing next summer?
yeah, what are you doing new? What are you doing next summer?
Know what you did last summer.
I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Here's the reboot. I Know What You Did Last Summer. And a double feature. Oh my God. No, the one
Moving on to number 2, boys.
I'll always know what you did last summer is probably the most ridiculous one title out of all of them. In 1979 and 2006, there was a movie based on the urban legend of like the killer calling you from inside the house thing. It's called When a Stranger Calls.
Yep.
And then The Hitcher, the most popular version starring, I think, Sean Bean. And then there was the original one, which I think starred, I want to say Rucker Hauer was in the original one.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But that's about like picking up the hitchhiker who turns out to be a serial killer. That sort of, that popular old story. The Hitcher, 1986, starred Rucker Hauer. I was right.
Hauer. Yep.
And then Sean Bean was in the new one. And then I have some honorable mentions here because these are some movies that didn't really fit into any sort of category, but did include some urban legends. The first one is a horror film called Trick or Treat. This is a very unknown, underrated horror film, and I think more people need to see it. It's a really, really good horror film. I have it on DVD.
Very popular in the Halloween Spirit Halloween, by the way.
Really?
Oh yeah,
It's in the Halloween shop.
I've already been in one.
It's Sam Hain is the little character from the film. So Trick or Treat is an anthology film. It's
if you put blood on yourself in disguise, Sam Hain can't see you.
Yeah. So in Trick or Treat, Sam Hain is the spirit of Halloween, and
Right.
he's represented in the film as like he looks like a little kid with a sackcloth mask on, and he kind of like strings all the stories together because he kind of pops up in all the different anthologies. One is about werewolves. There's another one about the person putting like razor blades in the candy at Halloween. There's another one about a serial killer who kills kids and then cuts their heads like pumpkins. There's another one about these kids who die in a bus crash and how their ghosts are haunting the town and stuff. And it's all these like little horror story vignettes, but they're all held together by this little Sam Hain character who keeps popping in and out of the story. Stars
Which
Anna
is
Paquin.
one of the seals. Oh.
Yeah. Stars Anna Paquin in one of the vignettes. She's in the werewolf vignette, and she's dressed as Little Red Riding Hood, and it's amazing.
Just her dresses.
The one that brought this all about, the Mothman Prophecies, starring Richard Gere. This is actually a pretty good movie. It was Richard Gere and Laura Linney who's in it, and
Laura Linney, which
and
is
Deborah. Yeah, she's like the sheriff or something, and Deborah Messing's in it. And it deals with that's actually the Mothman's like a pretty recent urban legend too. Like I think it originated in like the 70s or 80s. And it's about this creature that's a giant, like humanoid looking creature that looks like half man, half moth, glowing red eyes. And when you see it, it means that something ominous is on the horizon.
But it's very easy to catch him. You just need a really bright light. And
he starts floating around. And so like the ominous thing in this film is like he keeps getting phone calls or something, and then eventually there's this like big catastrophe at the end of the movie where this bridge collapses and all these people die and all that stuff. And he was warned of it by the Mothman. It's actually another like sort of like underrated like psychological horror. And Mike, I told you about this one. This is a pretty recent film. It's called Skinwalkers. It's about the Wendigo. Wendigo made famous by the Supernatural TV series.
Well, I watch on History The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah,
where
this comes from. The Skinwalkers, the Wendigo, or the Skinwalker is a Native American urban legend that it's a creature that can take your identity and by like stealing your skin or something like that, or it's a shapeshifter. Yeah, shapeshifter.
Yeah. Changes into mostly a big wolf for a person. Yeah.
So the last one on here is The Barrens, which is a movie about the Jersey Devil. I have not seen this.
It's in your backyard, right?
Yes, it's Kevin and I are both pretty close to the Pine Barrens, and
I've camped in there.
Yeah, he's camped in the Pine Barrens. When I saw this on the list, I was like, I got to watch this because it's the Jersey Devil.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a 5.0 on IMDb out of 10, so it's not a highly rated film.
There is an X-File episode about that.
There is an X-Files episode, but it is only like an hour and a half, so I'm like, well, it might be worth, watching a really terrible film if it's not that long. So I definitely kind of want to check it out. But it's also funny because I watch What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series.
Right.
And the episode that premiered this week involved two of the vampires fighting with the Jersey Devil in the Pine Barrens.
Oh, yeah?
And it was a funny scene, really funny scene, because the one vampire is friends with a human guy, and who's their next door neighbor, and he brings them to this cabin that he has out in the Pine Barrens for a men's weekend, and he's telling the story of the Jersey Devil, and he's like, yeah, he's got the body of a man but the head of a horse, and it's half goat. He's got horns and wings and claws and the biggest balls you've ever seen. And like this is the guys describing it, and then they're like, they talk to they stop and talk to the camera because it's supposed to be like a mockumentary, and he's like, what the humans don't know is that the Jersey Devil is a legend made up by vampires to hide the fact that all the dead bodies that people find in the Pine Barrens are really dead bodies left by vampires and not by the Jersey Devil. And then all of a sudden the Jersey Devil shows up, and you see it. And it's got the body of a man, the horse head, the horns, the wings, and a giant set of balls. And the one vampire guy's, holy shit, look at the balls on that motherfucker. And it's like just hilarious that was this week's episode of What We Did in the Shadows, coinciding with our episode of the podcast tonight.
Okay.
So we have made it to the end of our list there, gentlemen.
This
Anything
was
we
a
want to
fast
add?
episode, gentlemen.
Yes, this was a very fast episode, I believe. I think we were like just in an hour here tonight. I mean, we had a very short intro tonight as opposed to what we normally have. So, how are your drinks this evening?
Better.
Well, that
Kevin's
was
been enjoying. I think Kevin's been enjoying his because he's been letting us hear it.
Yes, Adrian quit
It has
listening
moved
like
on to
hours
this,
ago.
though, the blueberry lemonade shandy from
How's that
Sugar Tuck Brewing Company, which is out of where? Which is out of I couldn't tell you. Anyway, all right.
He's had one too many, can't even read.
5% alcohol by volume. Yeah, where is this place? Summer on the brain all year long. Dude, where are you out of, yo?
What's the name of the brewery?
Sugar Tuck. SAUGATUCK Brewing Company. Florida, maybe? I don't know.
Sugar Tuck,
Sugar Tuck.
Michigan.
Oh, that seems about right.
Sugar Tuck, Michigan.
Okay.
All right, cool. My drink, I had all well intentions with it in making a drink that looked like the Mothman. I wish it was as tasty as it looked, but it was a little bit on the sour side, I want to say.
Yeah,
What do you got going there, Mike?
The Virginia Beer Company, the IPA Reverse, was bitter. It was definitely an IPA. So, yeah.
Do you have any beer wisdom for us this evening, Mike?
Actually, my beer wisdom's kind of running low, but I do have a beer quote.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Napoleon.
Okay.
On victory, you deserve beer. In defeat, you need it.
So basically, just beer all the time. I mean, that's kind of how we live our lives anyway, right? All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening for episode 73, Urban Legends. Probably our quickest episode we've had in a really long time. Considering last week's episode was an hour and 34 minutes.
And I think we stuck to the movies.
Yeah, we stuck to the movie. We didn't go too far off the rails.
Getting us off the rails, but you guys kept bringing us back.
We had fun with the creepypasta stuff. I think it was a good show still. But that is our show this evening, episode 73, Urban Legends. Our next episode, which will be dropping on August 29th, will be our season finale, episode 74, the season finale For our season finales, we try to do something that's specifically alcohol related. So, like we did the National Beer Day for our previous season finale. For this one, we're doing movies where alcohol is an important part of the plot. I haven't got a better title than that yet. I'm hoping to come up with something a little more creative, but movies
like Little Women.
like Little Women.
Those March girls, man, I'm telling you.
The Little Women, Little
luscious.
Rascals, Little Giants. Any movie with little in it really has a lot to do with alcohol. 10 Little Indians, that's the
That's going to be, I want to put that down on the list.
what?
Movies with little in the
Movies
title.
with little in the title.
Wait, does it have to be the word little, or could it be small, like small soldiers?
or little, like LIL apostrophe.
Or tiny?
We'll discuss it.
We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it at a later date. But yeah, so this episode is episode 73, which is dropping on August 22nd. August 29th is our season finale. Movies where alcohol plays a major part of the plot. That's episode 74. We are then not going to be recording any new shows for 2 weeks, as Mike is going away on vacation, and Kevin and I are going to be starting the new school year. So we have a lot going on those couple weeks. So our September slate looks like this. On September 5th, we will be having a replay of an old episode. September 12th, I will be dropping a mini pod talking about some of the episodes we have coming in season 4. The season 4 premiere will be September 19th, and for that, we'll be doing Films That Time Forgot Part 3, as we've done 2 of those previously. But in the meantime, please join us again for episode 74, our season finale, on August 29th, movies about alcohol. Thanks again for joining us tonight for episode 73, movies based on urban legends. We hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Thank you for joining us here at the Crossroads between Pickled and Fermented. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Bourbon Legends.
Bourbon Legends.
Legend.
Oh, wait. All right, here we go. Ready? We got Quaker Rage. That's going to be our initial oatmeal stout, right?
Okay.
We have Plebes Like Us. That's going to be our standard lager, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And now we have a bourbon barrel aged beer, Bourbon Legend.
Bourbon Legends.
I got to write these down so don't forget them. So yes, people, keep listening to us out there in podcast land, because one of these days we're going to be starting our own brewery to go with the show. So again, everybody, cheers. Have a good rest of the summer, everybody, and we'll see you for the season finale.